Many Christians have asked me if heaven will be boring. I mean, it's forever, so will we just be standing around and singing songs all day? So for those of you who are concerned that heaven may actually be boring, or if you're just curious about what heaven will be like, here are 7 facts about heaven that everyone should know. Fact number 1, heaven will not have sin or its effects. Revelation chapter 21, verse 4. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death or sorrow or crying or pain. All these things are gone forever. In this passage, John, one of the 12 disciples of Jesus, is being told the future by Jesus, and at the end of time, John is being shown that there will be a new heaven and a new earth with a new Jerusalem. And in this new world, John says that there won't be any death, sorrow, crying, or pain. So really fast, for those of you who don't know, there is a heaven right now that's currently being used, but it will soon disappear, and God will bring a new heaven.
Didn't know
and for
that.
those of you who are thinking, why does there need to be a new heaven if it's perfect? Well, it seems that once the unrighteous and the devil are judged and removed in the great white throne judgment, that God desires to create a world that has no remembrance of the old. You see, earth and heaven have a history of corruption. Earth is tainted with death and sin, and even heaven has places where Satan once walked as an angel. So in the same way that God created a perfect world back in the book of Genesis, God desires to bring forth a world that doesn't have any history of evil, which is why he says in Revelation chapter 21, verse 5, "Behold, I make all things new." So in this new heaven and new earth, there will no longer be death, sorrow, crying, or pain. And on top of that, Revelation 21:27 says, "But there shall by no means enter it," the New Jerusalem, "anything that defiles or causes an abomination or a lie, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life." Meaning there will be nothing that can enter into this new world that God creates that can defile anything, which means that this new world will not have any sin. And that means there won't be any corruption, and everything in it will be right and fair. So that means no hospitals, no police stations, no wars, no theft, no discrimination, no pride, no injustice. And because God says that death and pain will be gone forever, there will be no possibility of these things entering into this new society ever again.
Heaven will not have sin and its effects. Now, the biggest thing that we have to go through in this world is having to pay bills, hurt, pain, destruction, worry, fear. All these different things are not of God, right? When we get to heaven, it's not going to be there. We're going to be so worried about, oh, well, if I get to heaven, will I still experience pain? Will I still remember what happened in the past? It's just going to be like how I am now. You know, there's a lot of people who's going through heartache and strife. There's homeless people, there's hungry people out there, and they will not feel that. They are not going to feel anything negative because there is sin, and then there's the effects of sin. The biggest thing that we have to understand is that all sin is equal, yes, but not every sin has an equal effect on the world. So for example, let's just say that you sin and you start to watch pornography, right? You start to have adulterous thoughts inside of your mind. It's really going to corrupt you. It's really going to affect you and your family as well, the different effects. But also if you murder somebody, if you do something a lot more heinous in that way, yes, all sin is equal, but it has greater effects. So just because you're not really caring about the homeless people, let's just say that you're not caring about the people around you, it has a greater effect than you think. We're not going to see those effects. We're not going to experience those effects in heaven. It's not going to be there. And that's very, very crucial, because there's a lot of people who's concerned, well, if God is so great, why is it that there's so many people hurting out there? You're right, because there is sin. Sin is going to be the absence of God. To me, that is the definition of what sin is. Please correct me in the comments. But sin, by definition, to me, is the absence of God. Anything that goes against his understanding, anything that goes against his intentions itself, and not understanding, because God understands all things, but it goes against his intentions. So we have to understand that we are not going to experience those effects of sin.